I was talking earlier to a friend of mine about raising standards, and I was explaining, oh gosh, I was 18 years old, and I was visiting a friend of mine in Chicago. It's where I grew up. Don't hate me. And so I grew up there in a suburb called Park Ridge. And I know this place like back of my hand, right, growing up there. And so here I am, 18, visiting a friend of mine. Brandon is a good buddy of mine, still is. And I get pulled over at 2 in the morning. I'm leaving his house. I'm a senior in high school. I'm pulling over to the side of the road as I see these lights behind me. I'm like, why am I getting pulled over right now? And trust me, there's a reason for this story. And so I talk about, what am I doing? Why am I get pulled over? What did I do wrong? You know, we think about these things in our life that happen to us, like, why me? Why did this happen? What are you using me for, God? What's up? And so he pulls me over and says, hello, license and registration. I'm like, okay, officer, what did I do? I said, here's my license. I'll dig out my registration, but here's my license. So he looks at the license and says, oh, okay, you live not too far from me. I'm like, I live right there. I live like right there. And I said, what did I do wrong? He says, oh, you went backwards against traffic, if you will, down a one-way street. I'm like, how did I did what? He goes, yeah. He goes, this is a one-way street right here, and I saw you go the opposite way of direct. I'm like, first of all, nobody's around, and I didn't do that, so I'm not jeopardizing. But here's the thing, I don't want to get in an argument with you. I live right there. Like I've walked these streets. I know the cracks in the sidewalk from walking to grade school here and middle school there, and now the high school, that's right there. I can see it. I grew up here. And so I did not do that. He goes, yes, you did. I want you to follow me to the station. They wouldn't do that today, by the way. So I'm like, holy goodness, all right, what am I doing right now? So I'm following this guy, officer at 2 in the morning. Finally get to the station. It's summertime. And so I go down these steps in the lower level of this, where they book people and that kind of thing for doing things wrong or whatever. And he puts me into a holding cell. So here I am in a holding cell and wondering, what in the heck am I doing here? And so I'm like, this is so stupid. You get aggravated, right? You get pretty mad when you get blamed for something you didn't do. And you just know what? You swallow it a little bit and say, hey, I'm going to win this thing, whatever this thing is. I didn't do anything wrong. And so I'm sitting and waiting, and I'm freezing, by the way. It's like cold because the air conditioning's going. I can feel the blower, and there's concrete polished floors. And it's white cinder block walls, white lights. You hear the zzz, buzz from the lights, and the AC is blowing. And I'm sitting on this bench. It almost looks like a baseball bench in the dugout for Little League, right? Just this wooden plank. And so I'm sitting on this thing and just kind of doing my thing, waiting and waiting for my dad to show up. And I'm not worried about my dad coming and getting mad at all. It's just not how he rolled. And it's my dad was a rock star. And that's another story we'll share one day. And so I'm sitting there with the bench. I got my hands on the bench, and I'm waiting. And I look down because I'm just like, holy cow, I want to go home. And I look on over. And I look and pivot, and I see like names etched in the bench with like keys. And so I know that person. Hold on, I know that person. And I'm turning around looking. I'm like, what? I know these people. And it hit me. I'm in this room, even though, again, I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm in this room, and I have become a product of my environment because the reputation of who I was and who I was hanging with was not good. Again, I'm 18. And I turn and look, and I go, wow, I know these people. So my father comes, picks me up, and we go home. I explained the story to him. He's like, Eddie, it's not worry about it. There's no charges, no tickets, no nothing. Let's go to bed. No big deal, like it never happened. Again, my dad's a rock star. And I wake up the next day, go to school early, because I was like, I have to share this with these people that were on the bench. And I go to school early, and before homeroom, they had like a little breakfast time that you can come sit down and get a little snack before school started. And I said, hey guys, I need to share with you. And I explained the story of what happened last night, and I said, so I'm going to say something right now that's probably going to rub you guys the wrong way, and you're going to think I'm an ass or Eddie's too good for me or all that kind of stuff. It's not that at all. You have to understand that I can't etch my name on that bench. I couldn't do it because I didn't want to be part of that, whatever that was. That's not cool to me. And if I'm going to be caught in this circle, guys, I know it's hard, but I got to let you go. we're not going to hang out anymore as friends. And so I have to do that for me. There's some things that it's just understand. I didn't have any God in my life, like none. But I had to do this because it was just not right. It just didn't feel good. And I was being led. Now I understand it's the Spirit that's leading me. However, that's how God rolls. I had to do that to raise a standard. It wasn't an ego play. It was a standard play. A play that I had to go, what's new or next for me? What's on that next stepping stone of life? Do you do that? We find ourselves today, as always, but really find ourselves, have you not sat in traffic, sat in a cubicle, punched in, punched out, or maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're like, what am I doing right now? Where'd my fire go? Where'd my why go? We think on those things. And when we think on those, we think on them for just a second and with a wish behind it or maybe even a prayer and have no action towards it. We don't do anything for it. What do you believe? What's your thing? And I think too much. That's what I do. We think so much and create these roadblocks. Maybe one day I'll do this. Maybe I'm in enough shape I can do this. Or maybe when I have enough money I can be that or go there. And we live a life of not enough because our standards are set so low, it's toxic for our brain. And we live a life of darkness, scarcity, lack, worry, where there's hope. Like, I got this. Understand, it's not a money play. It's a me play. It's a me playing bigger in this thing called life, just like you should. And if we're not playing big enough, if you love being a garbage man or woman, I got to be proper, goodness. And if you love doing that, then do that. Be that and own all of that. If you like sitting in a cubicle and grinding it out and figuring out the tasks or numbers or whatever, God bless you. I love that you love that. Not everybody is meant to do those things, and not everybody's meant to be you. And I think too much because we live in a world of compare. And when we live in a world of compare, what do? I don't have a house like them. I don't drive a car like them. I don't wear clothes like them. I don't go to those clubs or be part of those organizations. I can't afford that restaurant. We live in one day, never, not me. Whoa, you're lucky. You're not lucky. Again, the standard has to be raised. And we hear this all the time with different coaches and mentors. Raise your standards. Different big fish in the world that are talking about that. It's not a standard. I always talk about the Titanic. It's not a standard that is unattainable. And that's how I think. Everybody who was on the Titanic experienced that Titanic in very different ways. Some people were on the lower level, right, in the stock room where all the luggage was at, and they were lucky enough to get on. Lucky. Well, that's another podcast. So they were lucky enough to get on. And then the next level, they had a window. And the next level, they had a window with a balcony. And then on the top level, they had an open area where they can go outside while everybody was on the Titanic, but they were experiencing a different way of life. Many people that look on up or hear about those other people who have a lot of money who can do those things, some were inspired to want and be more in life, and then others just lived a life of not enough, like, well, woe is me, I'll never be able to be like them. It's all here. It's in between your ears. And when it's in between your ears, our thinking, because I always talk about we have two brains. It's another podcast. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things. We're going to talk about healthy body, healthy mind, and healthy relationships. We are going to fill this platform with all of these different things to keep you on fire. Because what level in the Titanic do you want to play on? And whatever level it is, that's what you want, and that's what I would want for you. That's what anybody would want for you, because when you're content and happy, then what else do you need? Some people are very content in a one-bedroom studio. Some people are very content in a 10-bedroom home. It doesn't matter. It's what you want. And again, other people will look at you. Trust me, I had one text me this morning. Be careful, Eddie. Well, don't forget about this. Don't forget about that. I like those people that keep me in check, but I really put God in the middle of this mix. By the way, we're going to talk a lot of God here, not religion, but relationship. Is that, what do you want from me? And be led when it just feels so right. It just feels so right. And so, what are you aspiring to be? What are you wanting to be? What are you doing to let go of that yesterday's pain and get ready for tomorrow's pleasure? What are you doing? Because it's really your life. It's how you want to live the legacy. Always talk about the dash. You know, you're born on this day and you're going to die on this day. What are you doing with your dash? You've heard that before, I'm sure. And if not, think about the dash. The only thing you have in the middle of that dash are choices and decisions that you can make for you. Feel that? Quietness? I know it's uncomfortable. You thought there was something wrong with the editing here. No, not at all. There's got to be a pause in your life. There has to be that pause. Most people see the dash as a pause. It's not a pause. It is movement. It is growth. It is legacy leaving. That's what this is about. What legacy are you leaving for the next generation to aspire to? Maybe you're that next person that's going to leave a dent in humanity in such a good way that you change the path how people think. Maybe it's just that one person. I heard a really cool quote not too long ago. And they said, you want to know the best mission trip is the one in the back seat. Yeah. You know, I think about the kids that I've been blessed to have, and I look back at the back seat where they're sitting there, and I'm like, that's the mission trip. They are watching you. People are watching us. Our coworkers, family, friends, even our enemies. People are aspire to be you. Maybe you're an answer to somebody's prayer. Maybe you are. And then what are you doing about it? Are you moving forward with your why? So you cannot, I'm telling you, it's the bench moment. That moment then when I was on that bench and I just said, no, line drawn, not on my watch, not any longer. No, Eddie, not for you. Those people are not right for you. You've learned of what that was like and you're moving forward. I had to do that. I had to do that. And it was as uncomfortable as it's going to be. You have to do that today with some people. Maybe they're family members and you don't know how to let go. They're just toxic and you feel like we're family and therefore they have to be in your life. They don't. Maybe it's a coworker or maybe it's a job that you feel like I had to do because I have this goofy piece of paper on the wall that says this is who I am. Says who? Says you. It was just a lesson learned. I deal with that frequently, personally. And so we think about the different things and the accolades and all the accomplishments that you make. And this is who I am. So what do you do for a living? And you have to title yourself. I am a child of God and I choose to serve and make people's lives better with the gift God has given me. That is the new formation of me. And so when I do that, it just so happens that I am a upper cervical chiropractor. It just so happens that I talk a lot of God and hope and prayer with people. It just so happens I know how to build homes. Thanks, Dad. I know how to do those things. It just so happens I think I'm a pretty freaking kick-ass dad. I think I'm a pretty good freaking husband. I think, right, when I think about those things about myself, then I raise the standards and I said, this is okay. And no, by the way, is okay. If something doesn't resonate with you, just like that bench moment with me, no was okay for my life. I had to draw that line. There are some things in your life that you're having a hard time saying no to. You need to do that for you. Because as I always say, you are the most important person in the world. It's not ego play. But you're the most important person in the world. Because if you don't take care of you, who will? Who's going to serve other people? I don't want to be a burden on people, nor do you. Do you want to be that person that people call, hey, can I get anything or do anything for you? I want to be the other. I want to be the other one. How can I serve you? With the gifts God has given me. Maybe it's financially, I've got a lot of money and I can serve. Maybe, God bless you, good for you. Maybe you're lacking money, but boy, you are really handy with fixing cars. And you know somebody who's down and out can't afford getting their car fixed. You go bless them. That's what this is about. If God has given us all a gift, and I so know He has, and if God has given us all a gift, then what does that mean? That gift isn't for us. It's for us to share and serve people with. But we can't do that if we're sitting on that bench, if you will, and looking around at the other people that are keeping us from sharing our gift. So when I was 18, I had to draw that line. Trust me, I've had to draw that line many, many, many times over. I will share my journey with you as we go. If this is really about, this whole podcast is really about fueling your mind, igniting your heart, your passion, your fire, your why, then I welcome you. And I'm glad you're here. And I'm going to try to do these as much as I can to keep these going. But sometimes they'll be a little longer and short. I've heard in the podcast world they got to be a certain time frame, and I'm going to do my best. But until then, as I always say, think good things. Think good things. I'm telling you, your body reacts to it. We'll talk about that. Keep your head on straight. We'll talk about what that means. And have an incredible serving day.